Reporter for Politico, and Christina Bellantoni, senior reporter for Talking Points Memo. A good day to the both of you.
Hi.
Good morning.
Jonathan, talk to me about those ads. Do you see either candidate as having an edge on the issue of jobs?
Well, certainly right now you've got an edge, I think, for Linda McMahon on that because she has created private sector jobs. It's a double-edged sword for her because, as you saw from the ad that Blumenthal ran, there are some issues with some of the WWE jobs. For instance, the degree to which there was steroid abuse at the time. But at the same time, she's creating jobs not only for the wrestlers, but for the announcers, for the people that make those crazy costumes, who put oil on muscles. I mean, there are all kinds of jobs that come from that. And as you saw, Blumenthal had that, what may be the worst political answer to the question of how do you create a job that I've ever seen in a debate. That said, there are, this is a race where Blumenthal is up by a lot, and Linda McMahon still has quite a lot of ways to go to catch him.
Okay, Christina, let's talk about the recent polling there in the state of Connecticut. The latest numbers give Richard Blumenthal a 13-point edge on Linda McMahon. Was there ever a real concern among Democrats that McMahon had a serious shot at winning? And do you think she still does?
Yeah, this race has actually been a little bit in flux. You've seen polls where it's been much closer, but for the majority of them, he does have a double-digit lead. Democrats don't want to get too confident here, though, given what you're seeing in Delaware, given what happened in Massachusetts in January with Scott Brown winning that race, sort of surprising the Democrats. They thought that Martha Coakley would be the next senator in Massachusetts. So they want to just be very careful here, and it's possible that this could get more competitive in the final days. And, McMahon is spending a lot of her own money to be on television. Blumenthal's got some of his own problems.
Okay. Jonathan, what about McMahon highlighting Blumenthal's war record and his suggestions that he actually served in Vietnam rather than during Vietnam? Is that line of attack impacting the race?
I think it's one of the reasons you see a competitive race in Connecticut, which has been a blue state, a Democratic state for a long time. That said, to the extent that Blumenthal can use it to highlight the work that he's done for veterans, for folks who actually did serve in Vietnam, I think that's been an effective counter for him to some extent. But I mean, look, saying you were in Vietnam when you weren't in Vietnam is pretty bad. It's like the time that I hosted MSNBC instead of appearing on it.
Okay. Well, you never know. That might not be so bad. Christina, let's turn to the state of Nevada. Another nasty race really playing out between Harry Reid and Sharon Angle. And this time they're taking the focus off the economy and putting it somewhere very different. Let's watch this.
Okay.
But here's the kicker. Reid actually voted to use taxpayer dollars to pay for Viagra for convicted child molesters and sex offenders.
I'm Harry Reid, and I approve this message.
Really? I mean, if you look at the state of Nevada, it has one of the highest rates of foreclosures and unemployment in this nation, and these two candidates are talking about sex offenders. Is this approach going to backfire? And if so, who's more at risk? I'll pose that to you first, Christina.
Well, this is definitely, you see a lot of these negative ads and particularly twisting of votes, as both candidates are doing here. The Viagra thing, TPM wrote about this back during the healthcare debate. Republicans put up these made-for-TV campaign ad amendments that Democrats could not insert into the healthcare bill because of the whole complicated reconciliation process. So everybody knew this was going to happen, and Sharon Angle, put this ad on television, making it seem as if, Reid debate. Republicans put up these made-for-TV campaign ad amendments that Democrats could not insert into the healthcare bill because of the whole complicated reconciliation process. So everybody knew this was going to happen, and Sharon Angle, put this ad on television, making it seem as if, Reid did something very nefarious. Essentially, every Democrat voted against these because they couldn't insert them into the bill. But this said, I mean, voters they say that they get turned off by negative advertising, but negative advertising does work. You see it in every campaign. People try to paint their opponent as a total scary person who's going to destroy the state, and that's going to keep happening.
And you know what? As we put up the graphic that shows Sharon Angle is up by 2 right now in the polling, of course, within the plus-minus margin of error. Jonathan, just react to that. I mean, the focus of sex offenders and versus the other. I mean, and who do you think is going to win?
Well, it's political season when people are accusing each other of being pro-child molestation. I mean, come on. What voter really believes that? Looking at the polling there, if you're Harry Reid, you got to be worried. Your numbers haven't moved up. You've spent $20 million trying to destroy Sharon Angle. You haven't moved anything. And incumbents, when they're sitting there in the 40s within a couple weeks of the election, the track record's not that good. That said, this is an interesting race. Sharon Angle is an unusual candidate. We haven't seen a lot of candidates like her before. before this election. So I think there's a lot of unfavorability toward her as well in Nevada. I'm going to dodge your question on who's going to win and see if Christina will answer it.
You know what? We're out of time, so you guys are both safe there. Christina Bellantoni, Jonathan Allen, thank you.
Take care, Alex.